good way to start, because it's such a fun thing, and Christmas is fun, and the whole message of Christmas is that it's love and light and joy and fun. However, as we're finding more and more, is that with the pressure of Christmas needs to be fun, it's the ego again jumping in, right? Christmas needs to be fun. I need to do a lot of stuff to make Christmas fun. So we're not living in the moment, just enjoying Christmas. It's like, I must do all this work, then I can achieve the goal of Christmas fun. So what we do is we build up all this pressure within ourselves.
Right.
What tends to happen, and this happened with my family every year, is that like there's all this pressure for the perfect Christmas, you know? And probably particularly this year after everything we've been through. So what happens is the pressure builds up, and in all the effort and all the pressure to provide the perfect Christmas, everyone gets stressed out, angry, and then it all kind of blows up and falls apart under the pressure, which is really funny, because that we do that as humans, you know, that, the message of Christmas is love and family and joy. And then ego goes, so I must do things because I can't feel enough joy right now. I must do things to create this joy. And it must require a lot of work to create that kind of joy. I must work really hard. And then that's where the stress and the pressure comes in, and people having a tough time at Christmas rather than a happy time. It reminds me of this quote by Eckhart Tolle. Like it's like, well, let's say Christmas Day, right? You finally make it to Christmas Day. You've done all the work. Someone's done all the cooking. Thank goodness my mum does it. Poor mum. She's sweating in the kitchen. She's always like sweating in the kitchen, and like there's a lot of stress involved in the meal, because she's, bless her, wants to make it perfect and make it delicious, which it always is. And then like, you know, and there's this stress with the presents and making sure that the presents are right, get everything set up, doing all these rituals that are adding year to year, like the elf and the Christmas Eve box and all of that, and the pressure and everything like that. And finally, if by a miracle you get to Christmas Day and you've done it all, and like it's wonderful and perfect for that one day, well, then you look back on the entire month where you were miserable and stressed the entire time, and Eckhart Tolle says, like, was it actually worth it? You know, making yourself so stressed and miserable for an entire month for one day that you can go, I did it, you know, and stressing yourself out and stressing everyone else around. So it's like always comes back to this for me, is finding the balance, right? You want to be doing things that are enjoyable to do. Like, for example, for me and my son, putting up the decorations is enjoyable, doing some crafts are enjoyable and things like that. And like leaning away from the things which are super, super stressful, a lot of stress for a very small amount of time of like, I did it, and then that's it, it's gone. So you need to kind of weigh up what the level of stress and pressure is doing to you versus the game. So is it worth it in the day, so that you don't just miss out on the actual message of Christmas, which is just simply to enjoy yourself, be grateful, thankful, and spend time with family. Like you're saying, it doesn't have to be this big thing. I actually think that a nicer way to look at Christmas this year would be how can we take care of ourselves, you know, and our very close loved ones, because we find ourselves, you know, in more of these bubbles where we're literally either just with ourselves or with those very, very close to us, and maybe focus, as Jing was saying, on keeping it more simple. And how can I like bring out that true message of Christmas for myself, which is joy, not stress, not depression, not anxiety or this pressure. It's simply joy. Because when you feel that for yourself, those around you also will feel that too.
Yeah.
So it's just like my mum, bless her, like she does it from, I want to give my children and my family this perfect meal, but she's angry and she's cross and she's stressed because of the pressure that she's putting herself under. Then we feel stressed because of that. So whatever your vibe is, remember that's affecting those around you. So the most loving thing that you can do for those around you is feel joy for yourself. Yes. So it's like we feel at Christmas, because it's the whole message of Christmas from I don't know if you know the story. So Charles Dickens' time and A Christmas Carol, the whole message of Christmas was giving of ourselves, giving. So we're under this pressure to focus on others at Christmas. But the most loving thing that you can do for those around you is be happy and joyful yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And be relaxed and be present and be fully present with those around you, not thinking about this one day in the future, stressing, because then they're going to be picking up on that too. So I think the focus should be more about finding joy within ourselves, and by taking care of ourselves, by making sure we're doing the things that we need to do, which I'll hand over to Jing in a minute, to make sure that our mental health is secure, that we're actually feeling genuine, like, positive vibrations within ourselves, rather than just trying to force it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. That is so beautiful and so well said. Um, like this is the time when actually I think it's not only just Christmas related, it could also be the weather, right? Like for most of the globe, Christmas is actually winter time, right? Except for them under Australia and New Zealand, that's summertime. I think that's probably why it's very funny that I start to experience different sort of vibe during Christmas ever since I moved away from home into, countries which have cold Christmas. And then you really experience a different vibe during winter days because in winter we are, we're automatically in this mode of like shutting down, wanting to rest and sleep. And also it depends on what country you're from, because some countries have a lot of like dark winter days. Like here in Vancouver, we get a lot of rains. And you can see lately in my live videos, it's not that bright. That's because it's like really, I don't know if you can see much. It's just kind of like overcast and gloomy outside. Not 24/7, but most of the days. So that can really affect people's like mental health during like Christmas or like the winter time. That is something that has brought to my attention lately. Maybe especially like after living in Canada for a couple of years, I realized that, oh, this time of the year is very easy for people to get depressed and, get stressed and, anxious. And not only that, yes, Christmas plays a part, but also I think the weather plays a part as well. And that is the external, like, when we see it, it's like, oh, that's external. Then how do we take care of ourselves internally so that we don't actually let this, the weather factors, the festivals and all that, affect us inside, right? And then to me, I feel like, oh, that is actually super important to mention, because when we're like struggling, battling with things inside, this can actually affect everything that we do to take care of ourselves externally, right? Like whether it's like eating well or exercising or other things that we do for self-care. Yeah, so I don't know if it's something that you also kind of like can relate to, something that you've
for sure. You mentioned a really good point. Like it's actually a clinical term, seasonal affective depression. In the UK, and I'm sure Canada is very similar, we actually don't get enough sunlight in winter periods to produce sufficient vitamin D in the body.
Right.
I would highly, highly recommend, if you don't take vitamins all year round, taking some vitamin D or increasing your consumption of things that have vitamin D over the winter, and you'll notice a huge difference to the energy levels. It's interesting because like animals, like my cat, winter hits and she will sleep all day, right? Because she's got no responsibilities. And so we're kind of, our biological program is wanting to do the same thing. However, we've got to take care of the cat. We've got to feed the cat. We've got to actually have these responsibilities. So we can't, I mean, you can if you want. My cat does it. Just curl up in a ball.
Yeah,
sleep
just
off
shut
the winter.
down. Yeah.
If there are things that you would like to do in the winter, then I would recommend that you take some vitamin D. Definitely focus on, from the moment that you get up, movement, right? Because if you can get moving and get your energies moving in the first hour of your day, I guarantee that will shift your mood.
Yeah.
Because when you're feeling that heaviness and that cloud, which doesn't mean anything bad about you, it's clinically your body is just wanting to shut down like the animals do. You're feeling that, then it can, if you pay attention to your mindset when you're in that state, it's like, I don't want to do anything, everything sucks, that kind of thing. All the negative thoughts are coming in. If you can just move, so what's your mindset in the morning when you wake up and you're like, oh, it's grey outside, it's dark, it's raining, it's miserable, everything's difficult, and then pay attention to your mindset. Then get up and do like 15 minutes to half an hour of light exercise, and then recheck in. What's your mindset like? I guarantee it will be like 100% different. So no matter how much your body's like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do my exercise, I'm too tired, just do something, and like within like half an hour you'll just be completely switched the other direction. So movement for sure, diet, vitamin D, and then the other thing that I was just we were touching on a bit earlier is self-care. So like, yes, Christmas, the whole message of Christmas is self-sacrifice and giving, but remember, just as we were saying, you're useless to anyone when you're running on empty, right? The most loving, you'll be able to give so much more of yourself if you're full on the inside. You know, if you put your oxygen mask on first, then you can take care of other people.
Absolutely.
You know, you need to make sure that you are 100%. Like, if you allow yourself, I think it's Joe Dispenza, I think he mentioned he gives himself 2 hours in the morning for himself to be in the best mindset possible before he goes out on his day. So, right, okay, you can spend the rest of your day thinking about everyone else, but maybe allow yourself an hour or 2 hours in the morning for you to do what you need to do for you to shift your mindset to energize, more motivated, positive, feeling okay within yourselves, and do whatever you need to do in that first couple of hours of the day to take care of you. And then you'll be better able to do all this giving and Christmas stuff.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's actually kind of like, I remember the morning routine that we spoke about, I can't remember when, that was a couple months ago, right? And like, it reminds me of that. And also it reminds me of the fact that it's so important to have that quiet time, of the day, the start of the day, to ourselves, when there's no noise and no one around to distract us, and to really do what we need to do to take care of ourselves, and then go on about the day. It makes a huge difference. Actually, I can personally tell you that it makes a huge difference if you have that time, that even if it's not 1 full hour, just a bit of time to yourself in the morning, versus no time, waking up and then going straight into work, or having, going about the responsibilities, and that the chance of you feeling crappy and getting like snap is actually a lot higher when you just go straight into that, versus having that grounding time, right? The grounding time to yourself, to really reset and tune up yourself inside out, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Filling up the gas tank. I just got this image. It's like you need to fill up your gas tank before you go out into your day, right? Because you can't
right.
Car. So I mean, allow yourself an hour, but if you can get it done within 15 minutes to 30 minutes, great. But at least you have that time for the days where you really wake up and like, oh, I can't do it. Like, oh, I'm too tired. Well, for those days, you might need the hour or 2 hours, but for the other days, you might be able to get it done in 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, let's try this, everybody. I know it's hard, in winter, but give yourself, like, start from like 15 minutes even, right? Because I know a lot of people are, oh my God, waking up 1 hour earlier. Oh my God, because like, I know how it feels, during this time of the year, you can sleep for hours. You can sleep for as long as you want, but even if you just get up 15 hours, not 15 hours, 15 minutes earlier, and then that, okay, I'm just gonna do like a quick yoga or something, like a quick sort of like body movement, and do some reading, or I don't know, listen to some podcast, to nourish yourself, whatever that you like to do in the morning to basically take care of yourself. That can make a huge difference. Like, when your body can feel that warmth, the energy flowing, a bit of that sweating in the morning before you go and do anything else, makes a huge difference, actually. Like,
definitely.
Huge difference. And it actually helps if you can like try to find a buddy to do it with you, right? Then trying to do everything yourself, because it is hard if you have to like drag yourself up, early in the morning in winter. So so that's one of the tips that we would like to give you guys. And also, how about for the people who are going through like bit of the mental anxiety and stress, what would be something that we can advise them to do? Yeah.
You totally read my mind. I was thinking, right, I just wanted to touch on a little bit of the anxiety and the depression that people feel more this Christmas. Well, the first thing is to realize, like, it's okay. It doesn't mean, that there's something wrong with you, that, bad things are going to happen to you, that you feel this way. But first off, just accept it. This is where I am right now. That's okay. I feel some anxiety or depression. I'm going to deal with anxiety first. Don't like think, oh no, that's it. I'm going backwards in life. This year I'm anxious again, or I'm depressed again. I'm going nowhere. I'm just going around in circles, that kind of thing. It's okay. Remember, just blame it on the weather. Okay, so at least It's not about you, right? Just think, well, my cat's depressed. She's genuinely like just sleeping all the time at the moment. She's fine with it. She's not there going, oh my God, I'm terrible, I'm depressed, and putting out negative frequencies. She's like, I'm just going to sleep all day, whatever. Blame it on the weather, so that it's not about you. It's nothing personal. Oh, I just feel this way because it's the time of the year, or because, coronavirus, and there's been a lot. We have to give ourselves a break. There's been a lot going on this year. It's not about you. Everyone's kind of feeling it. You're not alone. So take that shift away from you. Okay, this is where I am right now. And the second thing is to realize, like, because you feel anxious doesn't mean. So let's look at the feeling of anxiety is based on fear. The fear of something bad's going to happen in the future. Fear is the emotion of fear is saying something bad might happen right now. Anxiety is something bad could happen in the future. Just because you feel that doesn't actually mean that it's going to happen. Okay, so try and take the meaning out of the emotion. Okay, I feel some anxiety in me. I feel like something terrible is going to happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that it will. Okay, for example, like coronavirus. People are anxious and fearful about coronavirus. Whether or not you fear the virus is not going to affect whether or not you get it. I know people who've had the virus who were terrified of it and doing everything they could. I know people who didn't care about the virus also got it. It doesn't affect. So your emotion of anxiety or fear does not affect the outcome. Okay, so you don't need to get so wrapped up in it. Try to just let it pass through you. Try to just accept it rather than engaging in it. Because when we feel these emotions, they're really unpleasant and they're kind of painful to us. But you don't need to react to it. What's happening is it's actually just a physiological response. Okay, doesn't mean anything about you. Your body, due to thoughts or past trauma, has made the decision that something bad might happen, so it's feeling tense, and that's all that's happening. All you need to do is just kind of reassure. You can do some tapping. I find that really beneficial. You can just tap, everything's okay. Hey buddy, I get that you're stressed out right now. I get that you're worried. Thank you for worrying about me, but I just want to let you know everything's fine. Make sure you focus on your breaths. We talked about this in the morning routine one, meditation and breath, things like that. There's loads of resources on YouTube. So all you need to do is just kind of reassure your body that everything is going to be okay. Hey, I get that you're overreacting right now. I get that you're scared, but everything is actually okay. And try not to take it so personally. The same thing with depression. So if you, just as Jing was saying, right? If you're in one of those countries that is dark and miserable and you're feeling depressed, when you're depressed, you feel like you're kind of cut off from everything that's good and nice and happy in life, like Eeyore. You've got the dark cloud over you. But remember that just in your country, it may be dark, but in Australia, they're on the beach having a barbecue and it's bright and sunny. So you kind of need to also step outside of yourself and how you're feeling. Just because I have this dark cloud over me doesn't mean that there's not light in the world somewhere, right? It's out there. Try to take the meaning away from it and the power away from it. Because once we do that, once we kind of accept that, okay, everything feels heavy and dark and terrible, doesn't mean that it actually is. There's light somewhere in the world. There's always something that you can do, no matter how dark, no matter how depressed you feel, because I've been there. There's always something that you can do to feel some lightness and joy. Like watch funny, just like literally, no matter how depressed you are, you can put on the thing that always makes you laugh. Go see the person that always makes you smile. And then notice, you're spending time with a friend who always makes you laugh, like Jing. And then just pay attention. Hey, I'm laughing right now. Life doesn't suck 100% of the time. There is light there. There is joy there. And start to bring some of that out. Notice the beautiful lights that your neighbors have. And just start to feel some of that joy. It might not last the whole day, but you'll feel it there somewhere, and it'll start that depression, that cloud will start to lose some of its power over you.
That's beautiful. I love what you just shared. It's about, like actually giving some attention to the little things in life that gives you joy. And, a lot of times it is really about how we see things, like how we feel, how we respond to the life, the reality that we have is really coming from here, coming from the inside. Right. So, if we can actually give ourselves the chance, allow ourselves to really shift our focus to, the things that can actually make us laugh, make us smile, rather than like always shifting the focus to the things that make us, grumpy and blaming on, I don't know, the weather, different external factors that can really bring us out of, the depression, bring us out of the anxiety a lot faster, right? And then I think one more thing I want to mention that it is important, which Amy also touched on, is that you do have to surround yourself, with the good vibrations, whether it's like, media, there's a lot of good content, right? From media that you can consume, which can actually change your vibration, but also go talk to a friend, or, like actually just take yourself outside, actually go for a walk and immerse yourself in nature. I found that it's very simple, right? It's a simple act. Just go for a walk in the woods or near the lake or something like that. That simple act itself can actually remind you how beautiful life is. The simple joy in life, that the fresh air you get. This is something that as I start, to get mature, that's the way, as I grow up, as I'm older now, I start to appreciate nature a lot more than when I was younger. I guess I really found myself like kind of desperately always wanting to be in nature these days, especially when I'm stressed. I'm just like, I wish I could just get out there, spend like some quiet time in the cabin out in the woods or out in the lake somewhere. There's no city sound, lights, or anything around me. I don't know why that's become very, very strong for me. I feel like that's almost like an escape. Almost like an escape, but not saying that I just want to be there forever and don't do anything. Like, it's not what I'm saying, but just kind of like, I feel that as human beings, we need to be around nature, and because we are part of the nature, right? And the further away we are from nature, the higher chance we actually get to become sick. I mean, there has been a study saying that, human beings, if we have been detached from nature for too long, we actually become ill quite easily. So this is actually one of my suggestions, is if you can, get yourself out there and bring yourself to nature, immerse yourself, surround yourself with nature as much as you can, because nature can really give you that body, mind, and soul therapy, right?
That's totally, actually, I did a whole video on this. Maybe I'll just put it in the description. It's like the reason, so no matter how dark you're feeling and depressed, it's like eel. Remember that it's just like eel. And we're not blaming and saying, now I'm a victim of the weather or something like that, but just saying, oh, it's nothing about me. It doesn't mean anything about me. It's just due to the lack of vitamin D or something like that. So eel has this little cloud over him, but all around him is light and sunny. Okay, we're not saying that, oh, now I'm a victim and poor me because everyone else is happy and I'm miserable. It's not about that. It's just simply recognizing that just because you feel so heavy and dark and depressed and like everything sucks doesn't mean that it actually does. And just taking the power away from the emotion. We understand that it's not an easy feeling to feel. We're not belittling that, but just recognizing that, just because you've got the rain cloud over your head doesn't mean that there's not light in the world. That's why nature is so therapeutic. And this is what I mentioned in the videos. You go out and like, I went to this beautiful park that's near me, right? And the light's coming through the trees. And it's impossible not to feel a sense of connection with the lightness in the world, because when we're depressed, we feel like we're cut off from everything that's light. Then you go out into nature and you're not cut off. You're welcomed there. You're part of it. You're part of that beauty and that light, and it just connects us to it so simply. And another part of it is that you go out into nature in winter, and we're not, and it seems like everything is calm and peaceful, and the birds are singing and the sun is there, but they're still suffering. The birds really struggle at winter, right? They have a hard time getting their food, but they still get up and they sing. It's everything's okay. They're like, it's okay. I'm alive today. I've got enough food today. Everything's okay. I'm going to sing and chirp and go for a swim if you're a duck and things like that. So it's just that sense of harmony. Just a reminder that just because it feels like everything is difficult, and I know how tough those feelings can be and how overwhelming they are, doesn't mean that it actually is the reality.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful.